Okay, so you just have to search for the PRONI Historical Map Viewer. There we go. And it's on the NI Direct website. Now it gives you some background information about the viewer first, but it's this big green button here that will start the actual application. So it takes a second or two just to load, and then you have to agree to the terms and conditions. Now, hopefully you've already watched the YouTube tutorial from PRONI, which explains how to use the map viewer, but I'll just give you a brief overview just to start. So you can zoom in and zoom out and pan around the map, just like any other mapping application. And you can search for a place by typing its name into the box here. So let's go to Khan Money. Okay, so it's just zooming into that place. Now, if you want to just manually search for your local area, that's fine too, by panning around the map and zooming in and out yourself. So here we are at Khan Money. Now, I like to change the base layer. I prefer satellite imagery, and that's just personal preference. But to change the base layer, you just need to go up here to Base Map Gallery, and then I'm going to pick Aerial Photography. I just think it's a little bit clearer and it's easy to understand what's going on your map. So I have zoomed in here to Khan Money Hill. Now you can see that there's lots of information or layers displayed on the map, and you can find out what all these lines and symbols mean by checking out the layer list. So this is basically the map key. So if I go up here, you'll see it says layer list. Now you can expand the lists by clicking the little arrows here, finding out what they all mean. So you can turn the layers on and off by checking or unchecking the box beside the name. So by unchecking the box, you're turning it off or making it disappear from your map. Now, I'm only interested in the sites and monuments. I don't need this other information here. I don't even need parish and townland boundaries or county boundaries, so I'm going to turn that off. So then I'm left with just a nice clear map just showing the sites and monuments, which is all I'm interested in today. So I can click any of these points and I can find out a bit more information about them. So let's click this one here. So it tells me the townland information. It tells me this is one of two, so I can go across to the next tab. And it gives me a little bit more information about this here, which is called the Delaney Fort, or Nancy's Fort, which is a rath. It's early Christian, and it gives me the grid reference too. And I can do that for any of these. I can just click on them and then go through the tabs to find out a little bit more information. Now, it also might be a good idea to use some of these historical maps to see how your area has changed over time. So let's start down here with the oldest map, and let's turn this on and see what the area looked like between 1832 and 1846. So we'll zoom in a little bit. Okay, so it was interesting. There's not much houses or trees, really. There's only a few little trees along the roads here. Lots of quarries. And there's our rath, or our Dunani Fort. Let's check out the next map and see how it changes. Okay, so a lot more houses being built. We've got a big house here, and it even has a gate lodge, so that must have been a very big estate. We'll go up to the next map. Okay, so there's nothing appeared for that one. That might mean that there's no map from that time for this area, but if you zoom out, you can see there's maps of other areas there, but that's okay. We'll leave that one off for now, and we'll go to the next one. Okay, so 1905 to 1957, a lot more trees, and we've even got, what's this, an aqueduct. So that would have been how they transported water around the area. Let's keep going to the next map. Okay, so a lot more trees again. That estate is still there with its lodge, gate lodge. Okay, no map for this time period. We'll go into the next one. Okay, so this is going right up to the 80s now, so you can see there's been a lot more housing development. If you just even compare those two, that's a massive change in that short period. So by looking at the old maps, it can really tell you how your area has changed over time. Now, let's say that you want to explore this area for yourself. You want to find your way to this point here, say, for example. Now, if this site was in an urban area and there were street names, it would be quite easy, wouldn't it? Because you can just look up the street name and find your way there. But when you're dealing with a point in the open countryside, like here, it's a bit more difficult. Now, a straightforward way would be to open up this point on Google Maps, because then you can open up Google Maps on your phone and navigate your way to it. So I'm just going to talk you through that process. So if I click to find out more information about this, just get rid of that there. Now, you'll find out the grid reference, which is just here. Now, this grid reference is an Irish grid. Now, what that means is basically the people who make the maps, Ordnance Survey, they've put a massive big grid over Ireland and assigned each box in that grid a letter. Now, I'm going to show you a picture so you know what I mean. Okay, so this is obviously Ireland, and they've put a massive grid over the whole of the island and assigned each box a different letter. Now, if you remember, our grid reference started with the letter J, so that means that we're dealing with an area in this box here. Now, the only thing is, if we want to open this grid reference in Google Maps, it uses a slightly different grid reference, and we'd have to change this grid reference to the system that Google Maps uses. I've got another picture to show you what I mean. So obviously Google deals with information from all over the world, so the grid system it uses is a global one where the entire world is divided into a grid. So we need to change our Irish grid reference system into a global latitude and longitude. Now this might sound quite complicated, but don't worry, it's really easy because there's a website that does it all for you. Okay, so we just open up another tab here and we're going to search for irishgridreferencefinder.com. So it's irish.gridreferencefinder.com, but if you just search in Google, it will come up. Now, all we're going to do is we're going to copy this grid reference, and I'm going to paste it into here and hit go. And it has taken me to my location. Now, I've got the latitude and longitude, so all I could do is copy and paste these numbers into Google Maps. But a much easier way is if I just click here, open it in Google Maps, and it will take me straight there. And there we go, there's my point on Google Maps, so I can even view it here. Then it's just a matter of either sending it to your phone from Google Maps, or you could share it, copy the link, maybe email it to yourself, send it via Facebook, or however you want to do. Because obviously, once you've got it opened on your phone, and then you can open it in real life and navigate to that site to explore and investigate. And now that's obviously providing you have internet on your phone to be able to do that. So I'd like you to use the PRONI Historical Map Viewer to find an interesting historical site in your area. Send the point to Google Maps on your phone, just like we did there, and try and navigate to it in real life. Now have a look, is there any evidence left of it on the current landscape? And then when you're there as well, perhaps have a think about if you were the ranger of this site, what kind of management would be involved in looking after this historical location?